It's the Bush League Mud Show. It's the Bush League Mud Show. Let's go.
Are you ready?
Make some noise!
All right, yo. What is going on? It is another week of the Bush League Mud Show. Slade.
PJ.
It is September 25th. We're going to be speeding through a lot of stuff this week because this is going to be predominantly a prediction and a review show because we have the pay-per-view that a lot of people probably already forgotten was actually going on this Sunday. That's WWE Extreme Rules. We'll run down some Raw, some SmackDown stuff, breeze through that. Then we'll talk about AEW's Grand Slam at Arthur Ashe Stadium, which, for the most part, the crowd was pumped.
Yes.
But there were also its moments that we'll talk about later on in the podcast when it is pertaining to Rampage. But first off, kicking off things, we'll get into your news, notes, trending stuff of the week, kicking off with WWE. They're already going over ideas for WrestleMania 38 weekend in Dallas, dude.
Well, yeah, you always hear the stories. Vince always has somebody in mind on who's the main event and all that. So now plans always seem to change when
subject to change
when they get closer to like January and February, and he doesn't like that plan. But not surprised that this news is coming out.
You know, we hear so many of those stories about Vince coming in the day of Raw or SmackDown, ripping up the script. Could you imagine if we found out that he did that shit on WrestleMania Sunday? He just arrived to the arena. You've booked these matches. He looks. He has a change of heart. Oh, God damn it, pal.
That's not happening.
Screw it.
If there's a year it's going to happen, it's going to happen this year.
It just might. They're planning on next April's WWE WrestleMania 38 in Dallas, of course, or Arlington, if you really want to be technical with it, at Jerry's World.
Yes.
They did one several years back. That was a big, huge one. They kind of... we still don't know to this day the exact figure of attendance for that show. It was a lot of people. It was a lot of people, but...
They were saying, I think, 104. Meltzer was saying, no, it was like 90, and it's like, well, still.
Kind of like the Silverdome stuff, right? Back at Pontiac back in 87 with WrestleMania 3. Well, according to Dave Meltzer, which he had a week that people... We're calling him out on multiple reports that he put out there. We'll get into that a little later. But according to Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, WWE reportedly has been in contact with AT&T Stadium officials with several different ideas on how they're going to go about that weekend in addition to Friday Night SmackDown and Monday Night Raw.
Oh, yes.
They usually, I mean, it's a huge weekend. You're getting everyone in town at a specific time. You got a lot of press, PR. You've got your SmackDown, your Raw. It's just convenient to be in one spot for the entire weekend. As of right now, just one date has been announced. That's Sunday, April 3rd.
For the Mania.
For right now, for the actual Mania. And
again, that's key because that's only one day right now.
There's been talks about doing 2 days. Now, they're not going to, just like what we saw in Tampa, there's going to be a split crowd because once you get, now they try to pull off the sneaky shit and they waited a little bit later to announce the cards for each night.
Correct.
They announced the cards, but they didn't tell you what night was going to be which match. You're not going to draw 100,000+ 2 consecutive nights.
No.
So you're going to have to deal with the idea of maybe 40,000 to 50,000. Well, 2 days of Mania, that's still right now currently under consideration. Right now they're looking into planning the security, the insurance, the cost of production, length of the event, your basic stuff when it comes to Mania. I mean, big time shit you gotta go, but this is everyday stuff, or every year stuff, and then other locations for shows that weekend because there's a lot of things, the conventions and WrestleMania weekend, and they bring in a lot of the legends. And everybody brings in legends actually in town. WrestleCon's usually doing something on the site of WrestleMania. So one idea as of right now, PJ, is having both Sunday WrestleMania and Monday Night Raw at AT&T Stadium with a 40,000 seat setup.
Oh, wow.
We kind of expected that for the most part. They did that at AT&T Stadium a couple of years ago where they did the Raw. Was that
American Airlines
at the Mavericks Arena?
See, that's why I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah, so my apologies on that. But what's complicating matters right now is that they're not going to be able to run a go-home SmackDown show going into Mania at the American Airlines Center as it's already booked for a Dallas Mavericks game. So
playoff push too close
around
to that towards the
time.
End of this year. Yeah.
So I'm just waiting for the Stan Kroenke heat once again with Vince McMahon.
Cuban.
Oh God, you couldn't make that into a Mania angle. Cuban would, I'm sure, be down. Meltzer's saying that SmackDown could end up being pre-taped, but they may not want to do that this year with Fox.
Yes.
Being
Fox
the home of SmackDown.
would have a conniption about that, especially before Mania. And, you're not, I don't know what the streaming is. I'm going to guess that's still going to be a Peacock event. I don't know if that was a one-year deal with Peacock or not to get the streaming rights, but with all that being said, I'm sure Fox is going to want to get them some of those Mania viewers going into it.
Meltzer saying right now, Gerald Ford Stadium, that is the stadium that actually was built not too long ago. That's on the campus of SMU.
Okay.
It's about 32,000 seats. And that's also under consideration right now for both SmackDown and Raw because of the amount of fans they expect to be in town for the weekend.
Oh, yeah. Friday night, though? Do you think you're going to get that many for a Friday night? Because I know they're coming in for the weekend, but still, I would think Saturday and Sunday, you're going to get that you have a better chance of filling that place up instead of a Friday night.
I think if you've got people who either for whatever reason will not be able to make that Mania show, maybe the cost, maybe per ticket, maybe just you want to go, but maybe you don't want to deal with the atmosphere of the whole parking and getting there and getting out of there and all of that stuff. And then I don't know exactly how far SMU, the campus, is from Arlington, but I would imagine it's a little bit of a piece.
Yes.
So you're away from all of because I remember being in Arizona, the Super Bowl year, we had 2 Super Bowl Centrals. We had one in downtown, and then we had one in Glendale where the actual stadium was. And it was really hard to migrate around the city all week long, especially when Super Bowl Central every single night is going till 3-4 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
It goes all night. So it's like if you want to be a part of that weekend, but you don't want to actually deal with being at AT&T Stadium on that Sunday night and dealing with the commuting and all that stuff, then maybe that's your better option.
Okay.
Probably SmackDown because Raw, you're going to have a lot of holdovers, I would imagine, from WrestleMania Sunday.
Usually you do.
Because they hijack the show. That's what they do.
That's what they love doing. So that's what I noticed from, past events is they have no problem filling up Monday night. It's always, going into Friday nights. TakeOver, they've done pretty good as well. Who knows if they're doing that again this year or not with the whole change, but interesting plans already coming out for Mania weekend.
7, 8 months away, so they're jumping on it early. So at least this is the first time I've known in a long time of these kind of reports coming out. They're already talking about plans and getting everything together.
But, if they're talking stadium for the night after, you got to have a big star, right? You've got to have the star at this Mania, right?
And that would be for you,
The Rock.
Okay.
That's, and if you think you're going to do a Raw show after Mania in that stadium for 40 to 50,000 people after the big show, he's got to be on that card. That's the only way you can think about, thinking that we're going to sell this place out.
You're in Texas.
Nights.
Do you have Taker and Austin make just an appearance?
Oh yeah, I think you have to
for the night after or
night after. Just come out, do something. I know we sometimes bury them for doing the spots when they bury the talent to do a choke slam, get in and get out, but for nostalgia,
they released a lot of those people. A lot of those people that would usually be on the list, that Heath Slater list of taking it from the legend, they released a lot of them this year.
Well, we know what Sami Zayn, if he's still hanging around, is going to be doing, and maybe Corbin. So
we shall see. Fox right now is also they're scheduling to air a King of the Ring preview special during the weekend of October 1st through the 3rd. That's going to be hyping up the upcoming return of the King of the Ring tournament. This is the tournament that Xavier Woods is constantly on social media. He's vouching for. He wants to eventually be the King of the Ring. And I say, you know what? Just for the sake of him making the big push and the petition for him, let him be in it. Let him get to the finals and then lose. Because this has always been a heel tournament.
Yes, it has.
Your winner comes across better if they are a heel. In an update, the New York City area is said reportedly to be advertising this for Sunday, October 3rd in the afternoon on Fox to
it's going to get buried in the football doubleheader.
There you go.
Okay.
So it's also reported the finals of the 2021 King of the Ring tournament and the finals for the first ever Queen of the Ring tournament. That's going to be held at WWE Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia on October 21st.
The women's tournament is being held there
yes.
too? Really?
In case if you didn't know about that, yes, there will be a Queen of the Ring tournament. Are we going to have enough quality competitors?
No, because you can only have 2
competitors who would be able. This just reeks of a Charlotte Flair victory. Champ or not, she has to win that tournament.
In the full covered bodysuit as well. So I don't know if they'll let her do the robe thing or not.
This used to be, dude, at a time before. And not to ages. We're not like old, but we've been watching this sport for a very long time. So we still remember back in the day as kids, before it was a pay-per-view every single month, this was a part of your main 6 around June, and this was actually one of my favorite tournaments, even though I knew that the winner was going to be a bad guy, and as a little confused and naive kid, I liked my baby faces, so I knew a heel was going to usually win it, but it was still that tournament format style of professional wrestling I really enjoyed, and this was something that I really looked forward to. They ran it every single year from the time they kicked it off, late 80s throughout the 90s, and then they got a little spotty with it around the 2000s, and they did it 2000 and 2002, then they did 2006, and I want to say 2006 was the whole King Booker thing, which is one of the last few really good King of the Ring winners they've had, because you repackaged an already legendary star in Booker T with that. They did one in 2008, 2010. They were just real spotty, and then they brought it back in 2015. I want to say that would have been Bad News Barrett. He got himself over.
Yes,
and
with
they
the bad
didn't like
news,
that.
And then they made him, the king.
Yes, and then we took a hiatus again, 4 years. It comes back in 2019. We get Baron Corbin to win it, and then they ran that king gimmick into the ground.
Yes, they did.
So
where he just recently lost the crown. That's why I'm surprised. We're bringing this back, because now we just did the crowning of Shinsuke as the king of strong style.
Right.
So is he going to have to put that crown up in this challenge? Or what? I mean, come on.
What I think as a fan, what hurt the feelings the most, I think for a lot of people, is when you started just booking King of the Ring matches, even throughout the semifinals on national TV. You just gave it, it lost its flair in terms of being an actual exciting pay-per-view that you could. And I always wondered, why did we back off King of the Ring so much? Was it because, number one, we did get into a place where you start to see occasionally more baby faces winning it, but nothing ever came out of it. If you remember the Billy Gunn, badass Billy Gunn won King of the Ring, and there's this story about, okay, he won it, but it was like, well, now what? Because it's a singles guy. He's got the charisma, but can he really hold his own in the ring with guys like Austin the Rock? He had his asthma, and I'm sorry, that whole thing with him and The Rock, that kind of killed him. And he was dead. He was dead in the tracks after that. But I'm like, it's always been a heel tournament. Has it been that Vince has not found a good enough heel that can carry that gimmick in his view of why this has been a sporadic tournament all of a sudden over the last 20 years?
I think so. Because there's huge moments that have come out of this thing. Austin in the promo, Owen Hart winning it. You've had some good winners. Macho Man. Now, that wasn't so much of a tournament, I don't think, when he won his. They just said, here's the gimmick. But, I mean, you've had these great kings from the tournament, and maybe it was the Austin one, because he didn't put the crown on. He didn't look goofy and all this shit. He just basically, cut the promo that we all know, and, we go on from there. So they didn't really do the crowning like they did in the late 80s. I think they got caught in that trap where they were trying to do the old school king gimmick, but then all of a sudden they were fighting uphill because nobody wanted to see that anymore, and it's kind of harder today.
Well, it came across a little tacky. And the worst King of the Ring winner, the one that I think of always, is King Mabel. It was like you have someone win King of the Ring, and it's like, okay, well, if it's not Austin, if it's not Bret Hart, if it's not Owen Hart, if it's not Booker T, okay, well, now what do you do? And I think they got into that situation with Baron Corbin over the last couple of years. Like, okay, I didn't mind him winning. It was a good story in the tournament. You had Chad Gable, who was the underdog. He made it all the way to the finals. Gable was getting himself over. Corbin, they had made this guy a Money in the Bank winner twice.
Yeah.
He never won the title. Okay, well, let's try. Then he won to Andre the Giant Battle Royal at Mania.
Yep.
Nothing came out of that.
No.
Okay, well, let's make him King of the Ring.
Yeah.
So I think the company always had plans for him, but then he became King of the Ring, and it's like, oh, well, shit.
We're stuck with that.
Now
Yeah.
we're stuck. What do we do? Because the guy came out and was losing week after week.
Yeah.
So the King of the Ring, to me, him winning didn't mean shit anymore.
No.
And then they continued to have him come out with the crown and the druids that were carrying him
we
out
had
down
that
to
for a while.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
and we just had Nakamura get the crown, so it's like, well, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
But that's King of the Ring stuff. WWE, this goes all the way as far back as, Beyond the Mat, Vince McMahon. He has the interview where he talks about we're all about making movies in the ring.
Yes.
Well, he's always wanted to be what they call the Walt Disney of professional wrestling. He's always wanted to be this mega media conglomerate and make you kind of, in a way, it seems like week to week, if you watch Raw and SmackDown, forget that he even does professional wrestling for a living. Well, we've got them following in the tracks of things like American Ninja Warrior, Floor is Lava, all these kind of athletic shows. They are going to be teaming up, man, with MGM as executive producers of another return of American Gladiators. Did you see this?
I did not.
Yes, they're teaming up with MGM. This is going to be a re-imaged version of the non-scripted series, one of the greatest game shows of all time. And if you're a young baby and you really don't remember, you probably have heard the name American Gladiators, but you never got to watch it. Go on YouTube, watch clips long before American Ninja Warrior and all these other fitness, these type of athletic fitness shows. This was the show.
And watch the one from the early 90s. Not this revamped one they tried on NBC with Hogan was on.
I was going to talk.
And Layla Ali was on.
Can you believe that it's been that long since they did that reboot? That was 2008. I feel like it wasn't even that long. But yeah, they did a reboot with Layla Ali, who was the daughter of Muhammad Ali and Hulk Hogan. That got canceled. I want to say they did one season.
I think they only got a season
about
out of it.
Yeah, so good timing, I guess, for WWE. Good timing for the Hollywood studio and Vince McMahon's WWE getting together. So they're going into that whole thing. This is on top of the announcement the previous week that they're doing the Netflix interactive film with New Day and Undertaker with the Haunted Mansion.
And you're pushing me to get my kids to watch that.
Because
I'm going to guess I'm going to have to
this
now.
with the kids. I think you guys are going to have fun. It's Taker and it's New Day. There you go. So... and then I forgot they're doing the documentary, the United States of America versus Vince McMahon. They're going to be doing that with Bill Simmons.
Oh, he's getting his hands on it.
Right, okay. So that's going to be that. So Deadline, they were the ones that were reporting on this. They also revealed this year that a documentary about American Gladiators is going to be in an upcoming ESPN 30 for 30 documentary. And this is going to be a collaboration, which is pretty cool. This is going to be ESPN and Vice Studios that's going to be working together for this documentary.
Wow. Okay.
Vice keeping their names relevant, especially after that Dark Side of the Ring with the plane ride from hell, which we'll talk a little bit about it in a little bit. Another WWE superstar requesting a release potentially, I guess. According to Mas Lucha, they're reporting this past week that Gran Metalik of the Lucha House Party has requested his release due to a lack of opportunities and frustration with his direction with the company. And we always talked about this, man. The Lucha House Party, we know what they are booked as, but you would never know that if you went to a house show.
Correct.
They are always one of the most over groups in the company. Kids love the Lucha House Party.
Yes.
They do flips.
They do flips.
They wear masks.
They do the lucha. They get the crowd going. Yeah, if you would have seen these guys at just any old live event, not TV, but live event, you would have thought these guys could be up for the tag team belts. That was the crowd reaction they were getting. But whatever it is, I'm guessing it's the Too Small label. They just do not get showcased at all on TV. And I mean, with all the releases going on, I think maybe this is the one that's going to be granted when he's still under contract.
Yeah, they've been doing a lot of releases throughout the year. A lot of releases in the year of 2021 WWE. PW Insider, they're reporting that Metalik, he said to have been seen at multiple TV tapings lately, waiting to speak to management to express their his unhappiness over the way that he's been used and not used on shows. I'm going to assume that he's in that big long line outside of Vince's room, because I don't know of anyone else that he would, talk to.
Well, they cut down catering, so he can't wait there anymore.
No.
He ain't getting the hot dogs and popcorn from the concession stand. So
now, Kalisto, I want to say, was part of those cuts earlier this year.
Yep.
And when Kalisto was with the group, he had also expressed unhappiness about not being used. So, rare occasions when they actually were being used, they were usually just kind of positioned undercard guys who were putting over other talent. So, Gran Metalik, he had wrestled in both Mexico and Japan before he ended up signing with WWE in 2016. He was in the Cruiserweight division. He was in that Cruiserweight tournament, I remember.
Yes.
And I want to say he ended up maybe potentially getting all the way maybe to the finals.
Yes,
and Zack Sabre
him.
Jr. was the one that ended up winning that. But as of right now, the request has not been accepted. His contract is not up until 2023.
Oh.
So there you go.
Well, that hasn't stopped them with anyone else so far this year. So.
Yeah. Well, someone they did release earlier this year, and according to this man, he requested his release, although that's been questioned a little bit. The Nature Boy Ric Flair, WWE is reportedly, well, not reportedly, we've seen it with our own eyes. They made some changes to its signature intro package on their WWE shows. Currently, right now, the signature at the start of each show, it usually pays tribute to many of the iconic superstars of years past and all of that.
Yeah, you usually hear that woo right out of the gates.
Yeah, hear that woo, yes, and they pay tribute to that. And, well, he's been taken out, replaced with the Ultimate Warrior. So, so this comes after.
So it goes from woo to.
Shaking the ropes. Now, this comes after last week's episode of Vice Dark Side of the Ring. That was reported originally as the lowest rated Dark Side of the Ring episode of the season.
Well, because they didn't promote it. Like I said, my theory, this is the reason why they didn't promote it.
And now it's, about 500,000 YouTube views since they put it on their page, and everyone's had time to really look into it and see what this is all about. Well, they talked about the plane ride from hell, which was said, if you watched it, this had several different WWE talents. They're taking you into the plane ride from hell, at least this one particular one. There have been multiple ones over the years, and I think that's where the confusion was, and we also want to correct something from the last episode 20, because we're watching the documentary and it's being reported by multiple people in this, including Jim Ross, who was vice president of talent relations at the time that both Vince and Linda McMahon was on this plane.
Yeah.
It's coming into question, and it's been called out by Jonathan Coachman and other people. Well, no, they weren't on that. Mm-hmm. That was a confusion with another plane ride from hell. So this was not an isolated one-time incident. So there's been a lot of confusion.
Multiple.
So this particular plane ride from hell, this talked about the situations. This included Brock Lesnar grappling with Kurt Hennig and hitting the emergency exit on the plane. Also talks about Michael Hayes getting his damn ponytail cut off, Dustin Rhodes serenading his ex-wife Terry Reynolds over the PA. But the most disturbing story of this whole plane ride from hell, as we talked about, and you've probably already heard about, that came courtesy of the flight attendant Heidi Doyle, who had the accusations about Ric Flair cornering her in a room and forcing her to touch him in private areas and all that. And that this got the internet and people on television and people all over to really look at Ric Flair in a different light. He went on social media after the incident or after the episode to try and clear his name in the matter, but despite those allegations against him, head of talent relations Jim Ross at that time of WWE, they confirmed they never punished Flair at that time. He was a made man, as Jim Ross put it in that plane ride from hell episode, that Flair was a made man, and they just kind of went forward with it. Well, fast forward to this past Monday, WWE, they removed Flair's voice and likeness from its opening video package before Monday Night Raw, and as already previously reported from last week, the ad campaign with Car Shield, that's been pulled from television as well, and they've even pulled its merchandise. So the belts they were selling at WWE.com, those have been taken down, any kind of T-shirts, anything of that matter, even though Flair is not currently under contract. And my thing is, as far as taking him out of the video package, I just always, I assume that once someone's contract was up, they were no longer maybe on a Legends contract, which I don't think Flair's on that technically right now either. So. I just assumed that this was something they automatically did anyway. So I didn't realize, honestly, because I don't really watch the damn intro package really anymore. I'm just like ready to get into the show and just get it over with.
Yeah, I know that they talked about it. I know that did that come up with Punk too when he left or something like that? They had him on the Raw Open, and then they quickly got him out of there because he was in a marquee area. So yeah, I thought it was something where the contract people see this guy's leaving, let's scrub him out. But yeah, I kind of am surprised. Maybe because he's in the Hall of Fame and he's Flair. They do the today, tomorrow, whatever the hell the mantra is now. But paying homage to him. Maybe that's why they left him in, but yeah, obviously now we ain't going to see him for a while.
Yeah. With WWE Raw, we told you we were going to blaze through this before we get to AEW and their news and their shows. We'll run down for you both Raw and SmackDown, give you our predictions for WWE Extreme Rules for this weekend for the 26th, Sunday the 26th, just in case you forgot it. And I'm going to assume that it's going to end up being a forgettable show because it's been poorly planned in terms of the matches. They finally didn't announce that there would be an actual Extreme Rules type match until earlier in the week. It just seems like a basic pay-per-view just to kind of get us to Crown Jewel.
And you're going against your first football Sunday night. I mean, now your pay-per-views are going against the NFL on Sunday nights. They're just going to get buried. Yeah,
so with this Monday Night Raw, this ended up being a lot of people were actually pleased with this show. This was a follow-up from SmackDown being in New York. This was a stacked show. We brought Roman Reigns over to Raw. This was the go-home Raw for Extreme Rules with it. And they decided to take a big swing for the fences. They brought Roman Reigns over from SmackDown. And he was working double time that night.
Yeah, he was. They were going to make sure they used all of his star power in this one.
Yes, he wrestled twice in the night, and he ended up looking strong coming out of Raw because he ended up picking not one, but two pinfall victories. First, he ended up teaming up with the Usos to take on both Big E and the New Day. And then after interference from Bobby Lashley, that allowed Reigns to pick up the victory. Reigns then ended up facing off with Big E and Lashley in a triple threat main event, and he again emerged victorious with his hand raised. So huge night, man, for the Tribal Chief on Monday Night Raw as they were in Raleigh, North Carolina.
And now we don't need a Survivor Series match of him and Big E. I mean, even though it was a triple threat, you already gave us that.
Yeah.
So now we don't need that come in 2 months.
As far as those matches, a lot of people said both matches was a solid A-type match.
Especially that main event. You got three huge guys like that could be a nightmare match. They all worked great. They really did.
Yeah. Also, what else happened on Monday Night Raw? The worst professional wrestling show on television that just so happened to get one nice night. Well, we ended up getting Doudrop defeating Eva Marie by pinfall with a seated crossbody. Why the fuck is Eva Marie even on this roster if we're not going to utilize her correctly? No one wants to see Eva Marie competing in the ring.
No one has. I don't know who the hell told him in back. Yeah, let's get her back into the ring. She's been working out, and I understand that, but it's like, no, that's not how you properly use her. Yeah. No, not at all. You've had the correct plan for her the whole time, and they just they can't get it through their head.
Incredibly, unless she's getting outside interference for herself, credibly, it doesn't look like she could beat Doudrop.
No, never. Not in a million years.
So is she ever going to score a clean win?
No.
Over like what's the payoff here?
There is none. That's the problem.
There are no plans for Doudrop. We just brought her to be a prop for Eva Marie. We split them up too early. I liked where they were going, where Doudrop was doing the dirty work for Eva Marie.
I
get it.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to get her hands dirty. Yeah. And there's already a previous recollection of Eva Marie not having a great ring work rate in the first place. So I get that. There's some... But then now we've actually got her in matches, and this is just something that just doesn't seem like it's going to end anytime soon, and nobody wants to see it.
No one wanted to see it. It was the worst part of the show.
Randy Orton, the Viper, defeated AJ Styles via pinfall after hitting an RKO. Omos, he ended up being banned from ringside in this one for grabbing Orton during the match, but before leaving the ringside area, Omos ended up doing some damage to Riddle. That's the rundown of that match.
Yes, it was. That's all you need.
Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, they ended up going at it. Baszler picked up the win, as she should as of right now. No reported injuries from this match. But Baszler was able to beat Nia Jax via the pinfall with a Kirifuda clutch. After the match, Baszler ended up carrying out a brutal attack on Nia Jax, where she first stomped on the arm as it was stuck in the middle of the ring, or in the handle of the ring step, and ended up stomping on the same arm as it was bent. This tandem is officially over. These were two gals that they didn't have plans for in the first place. They threw them up into a makeshift tag team, made them tag team champs. They tried to make them look strong for a while. The problem was that there's not enough good women's tag teams in the company.
Well, and the booking on the Raw women's division has just been shitty.
And then we had Baszler eating too many pins while they were also together as well.
Yeah, Baszler was eating all the pins.
This is your MMA gal.
And now 3 weeks ago, we had Nia Jax beat your champion, Charlotte, clean in the ring. And now you pivoted from that. They had another rematch, but now you pivot from that. Now they're doing a breakup. It's all over the place. I know we take AEW to task about hot shot booking and just doing shit all over just to do shit. That's what this women's division on Raw has been like the last 3 months. It has been bad.
Yeah. Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza. Yeah. It was an Angel Garza sighting.
Yeah, we
Raw.
decided that now he's a heel. And they had to do a pre-tape. This is what I caught. They did have to do a pre-tape to explain why him and his cousin, Angel Garza, are now heels, or now he's teaming with him.
And when did they start seeing eye to eye with one another?
I don't know that
Did
day.
they bring Garza in as the evil cousin?
Yes, they did.
I did.
Back in the day, but you forgot all about that.
You're supposed to forget all about that.
Now they're all together, one big happy family. Must
they
have had a good
assumed that
barbecue.
we're all 8-year-old kids and that we're stupid.
Yes.
Well, they defeated the team of Mansoor Mustafa Ali via pinfall after a stomp to the face of Ali. So we got Mansoor and Ali now losing matches, but yet they're still competing together. I don't understand the end game here because
it's sweet Saudi money. That's what's the end game.
Okay, well. Women's Tag Team Championship on the line. The champs, Tamina and Natalya, were facing the team of Nikki Ash and Rhea Ripley, another team I don't care to see together. Tamina and Natalya, I actually don't mind. That's fine. I got no problem with that, but we ended up getting new tag team champs out of this like we knew eventually we would.
Yeah.
I can't stand it. Rhea just being misused, and I really don't want to see Rhea being grouped up with Nikki. I think Nikki Cross has done an outstanding job in terms of inserting herself into this gimmick and being all out. However, I think it's kind of ran its course and kind of start to get low on gas with the crowd in terms of the interaction. I think people are kind of over it now as far as that Mighty Molly type silliness, and it's just a little too goofy for Rhea, I think, to be a part of, but they're tag champs.
Well, like you said, too, the way Nikki Ash was being booked, she wasn't that strong. Her finishing move is always like a roll-up or a schoolboy. I mean,
or her lasting 10 minutes in the ring with a superstar.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. You don't give her a good finisher.
Running around the ring like she's Bo Dallas.
Yes, you don't give her a good finisher, nothing like a quick little finisher that she could do, not RKO-like, but maybe something quick like that where the crowd can get a little pop from. But no, you always have a roll-up finish for her, and yeah, this division, like you said before, they are running on fumes to get to this draft because they have no ideas left for any of these women. And obviously, it's showing on the programming that they have no idea what to do with them right now. So they're like, well, tag champs on you right now.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you'll keep it for 3 weeks. Who knows? But that'll give you something for 3 weeks until the draft.
Alexa Bliss, she did a playground with Charlotte Flair, who appeared on there before the two women ended up brawling. Bliss, she repeatedly asked Charlotte, Flair who Flair would be without championships before Flair ripped the head off the doll that Bliss gave her last week, which is Charlie. They're selling for $40 on WWE.com. Has your 4-year-old daughter asked for this Charlie doll yet?
No, she is not going to get that shit.
Okay. After they began brawling, Bliss eventually ran Flair off before Flair could attack Lily. This is the segment that Dave Meltzer is reporting that about 1,500 people left Raw that night, in which the internet, especially those who were there in attendance, allegedly called bullshit.
Yeah, they did.
On Meltzer's report.
And again, I don't know how he would have the direct gauge if at least 1,500 would got up and leave and a mass exodus during that. But people, I know we don't, get interest in this a whole hell of a lot, the whole thing, but a lot of people do. A lot of people are into the Bliss thing. They really are. And especially in the live crowd. We didn't know how this was going to pan out because this was all a pandemic thing, with the backside, how they could tape all this shit. Yeah. How was it going to play out in a live crowd? People are interested in it.
Well, you couldn't do you couldn't do the teleporting shit.
No, you couldn't do the teleporting shit.
You couldn't do those tricks.
Or I'm killing Shayna Baszler one week and then she's alive the next
lighting
week.
People on fire.
Lighting the fire and all that shit. Yeah. But people are into it. They want to see it. So she gets one of the biggest reactions when they come out. I mean, that's Alexa Bliss, very popular as it is. But, yeah, people want to see this gimmick. So the reports, I don't know if we were bored or what to just throw that out there. But there it is.
Couple of weeks after being a part of the job crew that was chasing after the 24/7 title, Jeff Hardy found himself in the United States Championship match at Extreme Rules as he defeated Sheamus via pinfall to earn a spot in the match. So he'll be going into the pay-per-view this Sunday in a triple threat with both Sheamus and the champion Damian Priest, who ended up brawling outside the ring after the match.
We know who's eating the pin because Vince didn't want Sheamus to eat that pin. That's basically what it is, right? It has to be. Why would you throw him in there? It makes no sense. So poor Jeff Hardy, still under contract. You're going to be taking that L coming up Sunday.
Move over to Friday Night SmackDown on Fox. Their go-home show going into Extreme Rules. They were in the City of Brotherly Love. They were at the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia. 2 days out. Now, that brought SmackDown we got our title match, Extreme Rules, Roman Reigns and Finn Balor. We wanted to kind of pay that off to get you excited going into this weekend, but not before Roman Reigns found himself in a surprising main event match with one half of the Street Profits, Montez Ford. And I will be honest with you, this was a show that it's a Reigns show, but they did a pretty good job of giving you quite a bit of Montez Ford leading into the match. We saw him in two separate segments, and you started to see what we expect to see out of Montez Ford when the Street Profits, whenever that becomes a thing of. Yeah. Now, I've always said eventually, with his athleticism and his wife, Bianca Belair, I would love to see them as a tandem, as a powerful, athletic type tandem. The A-list athletes, if you will, kind of like, take if Charmel was an athletic, great in the ring, like her and Booker. Like, I imagine Montez and Bianca. I mean, I think being superior athletes, and we know especially Bianca's history as an athlete, that would get over well in terms of heels.
Well, now they might be thinking different direction with that right now. Because obviously Bianca is going at Becky.
No, I'm not saying now. I'm just saying down the road.
I'm saying though this could be. Why would you give him a high profile match like this? He might be up next for Seth, so you could potentially do that.
Tag team match, yeah.
I mean, you could do that, or
it's got to be Mania, right?
Or the couples are going at each other.
Nothing for because I don't know if Becky's really going into WrestleMania with the belt, unless Rhea is the opponent that they're going for, or is it Charlotte? No, that'll start to unfold. We'll start to figure that out around the Rumble.
Yeah. So I just think for now, maybe. Your idea is right. I think they could do that kind of idea if they're going to start admitting they're a couple again on TV, Seth and Becky, after we were supposed to forget that.
Well, she's a heel now, so
and they're married.
You really want her to officially get over as a heel? Well, link her ass up with Seth, who's done some pretty sinister shit over the last year. Yeah. This man's taking people's eyeballs out, for goodness sake,
and he's curb stomping necks and ending careers. So, I mean, I could see that, and I'm thinking, well, maybe this is a way to elevate Montez and to get into that program, maybe with Seth next after the Edge program.
Now, this was a good tie-in. This match happened after Reigns interfered in the tag team main event match from the previous week between the Usos and the Street Profits.
Yes.
So it only made sense. You kept all that tied together. And
you didn't have Dawkins there either. You said the injury, he can't be here kind of deal.
Yep. So this was going to end the night on the show. There was a post-match attack by Finn Balor, so we get Balor, who's going to be the Demon.
Yes, he was.
He's got momentum heading into the pay-per-view, and I think this is going to be more than one match between these two anyways, because I don't see an end in sight between the two, between Reigns and Balor, so whether it be by pinfall or disqualification, we all know Reigns is going to leave Extreme Rules with the title, but I don't think this is going to be the end of it.
You don't think it's going to be the end?
Even with the Demon gimmick.
It's going to be hard, though, because now he's going to beat him 2 times.
Someone brought up something maybe a couple of weeks ago, but it was a good point, and I don't think we ever talked about it. The issue with the Demon is that he doesn't work different.
No.
There's no difference. He's still Finn Balor. He's just Finn Balor.
The entrance is different.
With paint.
That's exactly.
But my thing is, if he's the Demon, shouldn't he be working more aggressively, doing more, not necessarily Hogan heelish shit, but working a little bit more, grabbing some chairs? I don't want to see a ton of chair spots and table spots, but a guy who's going to be a little bit more
claw and kind of have that grit.
A different demonic type of style in terms of, that's been my only complaint about the Demon. Also, the fact that Vince has no problem beating the Demon, too, apparently.
Well, remember, too, we never got a Demon Fiend match, which I thought we were going to get, and then
if you were ever going to make a cinematic match, that would have been perfect.
Yeah, they
Demon
pissed
and
that
Fiend,
away.
there you go.
I am, though, I guess I'm a little surprised that Balor is, I know he was popular, but, they shelved him at NXT for the whole year. Yeah. He came up right away in main event picture, and he is getting the big crowd pop. He is getting the support. So justifying that spot that he has, I hope the old man's listening to it and they don't bury him after this program.
Yeah. Now, ahead of that main event match, we had ahead of the Street Profits shot at the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Usos. Montez Ford, he ended up cutting a promo backstage, very intense, very, I think it got across very well, called the Usos bloodline bitches for following all of Roman's orders. That's when Reigns responded by agreement with Paul Heyman's suggestion that he put Ford in line. In their main event match. So Reigns ended up beating Montez by submission. Solid match. This is the first time these guys, as far as we know, the first time these guys have worked. Now, they might have rehearsed. They might have gone through a run-through, a walk-through, or whatever before SmackDown, but I thought the match was solid. The most memorable part of this match, though, will always be the Botchamania spot of Montez Ford hopping on the announcer's table, and as soon as he jumped on it, it collapsed.
Oh, that's right. That's right. It did happen.
We slam people through tables. It doesn't give. It doesn't. No, Montez Ford, he jumps on the announcer table. It just crumbles. So there you go. That will be an all-time Botchamania clip. And you know who really made that moment even more than what it already was? Pat McAfee.
Yes.
His reaction. It was perfect. I thought it was a solid match. I don't think it was anywhere near Reigns' work on Raw. Which a lot of people were saying that both matches were superb. This was a solid B to an A-. I
thought it was pretty good. You knew Ford was going to, bounce around and take a lot of bumps, but he did a good job getting some offense in, making you believe he was going to win. That Philadelphia crowd was hot for him, too, because they're like, 1, 2. He almost got the 3. They almost popped for him, and they were excited, too. So
did a great job selling and being thrown around by Reigns.
He did a great job getting the crowd on his side, which, in this day and age, it's kind of hard to do so when this guy got no shot in hell to beat him tonight.
Also,
but
this
good job.
Match got a lot of reaction, and it kept the crowd perked up because even though we knew Montez was not going to win, it was a fresh matchup.
Yes, it was, yeah.
It was a matchup between two guys we haven't seen before, It gave Roman someone new to work with. It allowed you to put someone in the ring that could take his shit and still get their athletic shit in as well. And it kept the crowd engaged.
Yeah.
It wasn't like fucking John Cena, Randy Orton for the 26 millionth time that you've seen. It was fresh. It was, how are those styles going to collide and coexist with one another? That's what got that match over.
Yeah.
Speaking of Montez, he took the L from Roman via submission. Well, his boo, she dropped by to pay Becky Lynch a little visit. She dropped her with a kiss of death. We kicked off SmackDown, actually, with these two. Becky starting off in the ring. Bianca coming down again.
Smiling.
Yeah. And look, the crowd is into Bianca.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one thing I'll say about Bianca Belair, is that she is one of the few, so far, during their tenure in the company that we've seen that have had the golden rocket put on them. People know that she's being intentionally pushed. Like, Vince is he's in right now with Bianca. And the crowd's not fighting it. They're
liking it. They're loving it.
They're fine as long as we're not doing dumb shit with her. But she got knocked out. She got sucker punched and lost her belt at SummerSlam. Why are we still coming out, twirling the hair, smiling, dancing? She needs to be mad. I need to see, if you want me to believe that Bianca is credible to beat Becky, you want to know really what I want to see one of these days, her so pissed off and so determined to get her belt back or to tear someone that she's going to be facing, tear them in half. I want to see that fucking tail relaxed. I don't even want it as a tail. I want that shit as one big ass afro puff, and she comes down to the ring and she's ready to beat some ass. That's what I want to see. I just want to see more of a mean streak out of her. You lost the belt, and this is the gal who interrupted and ruined your segment with Kane in your hometown and all of, like, I don't want to see the smiling and the dancing. I need to.
Always tell her to do the smiling and the dancing.
I know it's not on her.
God damn, I like that hair deal. Yeah.
I
bet that, that's what it is. So she's got to hear that. Well, got to do the hair deal and swing it around and jump, dance around and do that. So
the two, they engaged, they went back and forth, and this was okay. So it was your standard opening of SmackDown. We always have competing oppositions that cut promos on one another, but this wasn't a long, dragged-on segment. It was your typical, stereotypical SmackDown opening segment, but compared to SmackDown segments and Raw segments that we see all the time where they go for 20-plus minutes before we even get a match, they kept it short and sweet. I thought the verbiage was a little too long, but they still got to the meat of it, got the segment over with, and we'll find out what happens on Sunday. We know it's going to be a Becky win, but I thought they did a good job in the opening segment in terms of that. So there you go. Bianca came out of that after the kiss of death looking strong, so she got her lick back, and we'll get the match on Sunday.
Yeah.
Intercontinental Championship match. We decided maybe we'll give this to you on the pre-show on Sunday unannounced. But we had Apollo Crews looking to get his belt back from the current Intercontinental champ Shinsuke Nakamura, who ended up beating Apollo via the pinfall. When was the last time Apollo Crews won with this damn heel gimmick and Commander Aziz? Should Aziz be fired by now?
He should be.
Crews can't win a damn match. He's got a big 7-foot-tall guy on the outside, and he can't win.
I think he's got to hire Colonel Mustafa now.
It works.
That's where we're at.
It works fine for AJ. The only reason he lost is because Omos got banned from ringside after interfering earlier. But other than that, AJ still looks just fine with Omos. Well, fucking Commander Aziz, this guy's like the Tony Mandarich of big body protectors in WWE. He can't block shit. He can't save shit. He you know who made him look strong was Trae Young a couple of weeks ago in New York.
Yes, it
Trae
was.
Young did more damage on the outside than Commander Aziz. I'm like, why is this guy around?
Yeah, I don't know. Old Dabo Kato, Raw Underground star. Can't do anything. And we're not using the spear anymore, I guess. We have sword on one show, spear on another. I mean, we're not even using it.
Well, Shinsuke, he won by pinfall, not with the Kinshasa. No, it was with the very dangerous and always lethal roll-up.
2021's power bomb.
Chaos ended up breaking out late in this match with Commander Aziz and Rick Boogs getting involved to set up the finish. Is this they can't find anything better? They're hurting right now. They're thin on the women's roster no matter which show you go to. And yet we got Tony Storm doing some 3MB shit with Nakamura and Rick Boogs now.
Yeah. That's where we're at. They're running out of ideas until they do this roster rebrand with the draft, I guess. And I'm still scared what the hell's going to happen after that if we're already running out of ideas to get there.
Disappointing news that I saw on SmackDown. That was the tease, the giveaway that Edge was going to be appearing on SmackDown next week. It's not that I don't want to see Edge, but it's that I don't want to see Edge because I actually want to see what Seth Rollins was threatening to do. And that was actually going to find Edge at his house, which meant we could have potentially got a break-in. We could have gotten
somebody
Beth Phoenix.
Shot.
Right. Beth Phoenix, We could have had the kids running around screaming. We could have had Edge in a neck brace in the bed and Rollins just going to work. I would have been looking forward to that, but no, instead Edge has got to bring his ass back to work.
You're going to see him. Got to make those dates to get that paycheck.
We got a match of Liv Morgan versus Zelina Vega. This was a match to do nothing.
Unfortunately.
This was basically to build up to a match that will mean nothing at Extreme Rules between Carmella, who joined the commentary team and sat on the table the entire time as she begged Michael Cole to profusely confess to the world just how beautiful she is. Mm-hmm. I think that this is being... When it comes to the draft, Carmella's got to go to Raw.
Yeah.
Because Cody Graves is on commentary.
And I just will really put her over.
Yes. Right, because they are together as a couple. Yeah. And I think that would actually be entertaining. But no, Zelina Vega ended up defeating Liv Morgan via pinfall with code RED. And that was after a distraction from Carmella. We also ended up getting a segment of Happy Corbin coming down for some happy talk. Everybody's got a damn talk show now, PJ.
They've killed this for me.
The talk shows were originally built.
Yeah.
And you think of Piper's Pit, and that was originally because, they didn't have anything. Even back then, they didn't have anything at that moment for Piper, but they still needed him on TV. He was entertaining. Yes. He was engaging. Mm-hmm. He was polarizing.
Yes.
And he was a heel that could get heat and could make fun of people and could just do wild shit. Well, in this day and age, it's just lazy booking. We give anyone just about a damn talk show, and we give them a little winky-dick nickname based on their gimmick. And, anyways, Kevin Owens destroyed that. He ended up being attacked. He tried to attempt to interrupt Happy Corbin during the Happy Talk. Owens ended up getting blindsided by Riddick Moss. Who apparently now is aligned with Corbin. Riddick Moss, all of a sudden.
And they didn't say his name. No. And I'm like, God damn it, I know who that is. And now that you brought it up, I'm like, that's right, it's Riddick Moss. So, they didn't mention him, and they just both laughed hysterically at the end. Oh, man. They had something with this Corbin gimmick. They really did. They should have kept the pour down on his luck gimmick going. Yeah. They should have kept that going for a while here, and then they could have transitioned into this happy thing. They've hot-shotted this happy thing, and I'm not into it now. Yeah. They killed him again. They just can't do anything good with this guy, can they?
No. And you're sitting there and you're thinking they can't screw up Happy Corbin. Well,
they have already.
They're starting to.
And Corbin was doing so good with the gimmick. It was great on his part, and like you said, they just killed it.
Well, part of being the WWE Women Tag Team Champs is you gotta coast to coast on both shows. So we had just seen them on Monday win the title. So on SmackDown, we saw both Rhea Ripley and Nikki Ash on SmackDown, but only because Nikki Ash was going to be in singles competition. She ended up facing Natalya, who she defeated via pinfall with the very lethal and dangerous small package. Mm-hmm. After the match, we ended up getting Tegan Nox and Shotzi Blackheart coming out in their damn tank, firing a missile at the tag team champs. So Tegan Nox and Shotzi finally going to get that tag team title shot that they won the rights to, about 3 months ago?
Yeah, and you had McAfee had to sell the damn tank shot. Like, it got blasted out of the arena when the damn thing didn't even get out of the tank. It only went 2 feet.
Something that also excited me because it's something fresh, and I think it's something that's going to allow Sonya Deville to get back into the ring. She ended up having Naomi, who came out with the glow stuff, and I told you after being out for so long, when she came back, now we got to do away with the glow stuff.
Yeah.
Because you've been gone a little bit too long.
Yeah.
So I want to see maybe a different Naomi, but she came out with the glow. And the commentary team of Cole and McAfee, they put it over, but she cut a promo, excited to be back, but that ended up being interrupted by Sonya Deville, who had her escorted off by security. After Naomi got in the ring and demanded a match, Naomi then challenged Deville to a match, only to have the mic cut off. Now, whether Naomi went to the back and told the bloodline about Sonya's transgressions and her... her discrimination of not wanting her to work any kind of matches. Yeah, you would think that would be a part. No.
Apparently
you're not supposed to remember that she's married to one of the Usos. Yep. But that was your SmackDown. So overall, this show going into Extreme Rules, from what you did see, I don't know. What did you think of the SmackDown?
It was a solid show. Got to mention too, Paul Heyman, great again on the show. Took the cheap pop when they at the end when he got the chairs. Let's get extreme. Of course he had to.
He's in Philly.
So proud that he got that line in there too.
I was surprised that there were no ECW chants at the Wells Fargo Arena with Paul being out there, just because. Yeah. They usually like to hijack the show and say what and all the other bullshit. Yeah. So you would think that you would pay this man the proper respect. You know what? It would have been great, even though Roman's the tribal chief. Just for one night, they're in Philly. Paul, kind of makes Roman kind of quiet down and say, this is my town.
Yes.
Kind of, so, you might be the tribal chief, but I'm the chief of Philly wrestling. Yes. And then that would have gotten a big reaction. That's just me. Of course, it's all in hindsight. AEW news a little bit before we get into the week where they were at Arthur Ashe Stadium in New York City in WWE's backyard. With AEW, this is a little piggyback off of WWE, so it's a little bit of both AEW and WWE mixed in at the same time. Adam Cole was on a recent edition of Chris Jericho's Talk as Jericho and Cole. They went over his career and they talked about why he's excited and what made him join AEW. And he and Jericho, of course, they got into the stuff that people really want to know about, the recent stuff with Cole and WWE and the pitch that they tried to make to kind of keep him and what made him leave. And he was asked about the whole Keith Lee thing. There was the reports that there was a suggestion maybe that, he would be brought up and a manager to Keith Lee, a repackaged Keith Lee, which Adam Cole said he said he never really heard that directly. But there were things that were pitched that concerned him. Now, as far as the whole manager thing, Chris Jericho he spent a long time in that company. He said, look, even though you didn't hear it, where there's smoke, there's fire. I've been there. Somebody in the back had to have suggested
Somebody could have said it once, and that's what it was.
And that's what it was. Now, as far as Cole, in terms of the things that concern him, he said, quote, apparently there were a lot of ideas, but they were very vague on what exactly they wanted to do. There was discussions, again, this is interesting too, because I remember when I first had the conversation, they had mentioned something about maybe we'll do a name change, or maybe we'll just change your look a little bit. So that scared me a little bit, just because I've spent nearly 14 years as Adam Cole. And then our latest conversation, they were definitely more open to me being me and me being myself and stuff like that. They could tell I wasn't too thrilled about the ideal. He went on to say it was definitely something that made me a little more timid about maybe pulling the trigger on that one. And then again, of course, they could not have been nicer. But when I think about me and my career and what's best for me, the ideal of being an option, of that being an option, it did scare me a little bit, where I was like, okay, so what if I do go and then something happens anyways in terms of them flipping the name and the gimmick and all that. And so he got cold feet and he decided, I think he made the right move.
Yes.
I really do. I know we always say we don't want to see everybody in AEW. Not everybody, honestly, is going to have a true home in AEW. AEW is not going to be for everybody. They're starting to, I think, filter out some of your people that you were seeing on national TV before, the Joe Janellas and all of that. Now they've gotten past that honeymoon phase. Now it's time to be taken a little bit more credibly and seriously.
Yeah.
I think with the history of some of the crew on that roster that he has personally and professionally, he's been with Britt Baker for a while. That was an easy sell and an easy decision, I think, that a lot of us would have made.
Yeah, exactly. And, those talks, too, the way, you don't hear him talk about, NXT. His NXT time was fantastic.
4 years.
Like.
Yeah.
It was great.
And they were strong. The Undisputed. They were strong.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like he had any problems with that at all. It sounds like the problems were always at the next level, why they were trying to screw up what a good thing they had down here at NXT. So, again, a big divide, and now we're seeing the big changeover where Triple H has...
And that's the thing. The last 4 years, you've had a direct line to Triple H.
Yes.
That's the guy that wanted you. That's the guy that signed you. That's the guy that day in and day out, for the most part, I'm going to say 90+% of the time, you had your daily interactions with. Well, now you're on the main roster. Triple H has got his own thing going on in Orlando. You don't have that direct line anymore. Now you're answering to the father-in-law and his big, huge team of writers and henchmen and yes-men. That would concern a lot of people.
And he's probably mad, too, because with the name change, NXT, Triple H, I'm sure was in the agreement. Yeah, you could be Adam Cole here. We'll let you keep the name. We'll let you, wrestle here. Not up here, pal. We need to capitalize on that.
We got to put our stamp
earn
on
that
you.
name. So that's why we're thinking of changing that name. So yeah, great decision by Cole. Obviously, with all the factors being in, I still don't know what New York what they did not see. You remember the SmackDown when no one could fly back, and they did like the invasion kind of thing with the NXT guys because they had to use them from Saudi because everyone was held up on the tarmac.
Not just that, but a couple of years before Survivor Series. Remember they brought up the NXT.
It was that same year.
And he said that Vince gave him rave reviews and was really excited and actually talked to him after
and
Survivor
Brian
Series.
had that hell of a match on that SmackDown, and they put Cole
over clean.
And people were going nuts for that. They loved it. I think that show was like in Buffalo, and they had to get everyone up from Florida on, within the day, within hours to get there. And they put that together.
It's a good match.
Just like that. It was a hell of a great match. And now both of those guys in that match are not in the company anymore.
And this is nothing against Bryan Danielson.
No.
But Bryan Danielson, Hall of Famer, and has done a lot of things in the business. We made it work for him in that company.
Yeah.
Now, it took for the fans to hijack it and say, whoa, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
This guy's ours, and you need to push him. You need to. And they had no choice, right?
Yes.
And they made him a fighting champ. He unfortunately had to go away for a little bit, but they made him champ. They made it work for him. And even before the crowd hijacked, he had won Money in the Bank. He was already a champ before. People forget about that. He was a champ a few times as well. And they were making him competitive in matches against people like Mark Henry and Big Show. I speak of Danielson, the former Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
If we made it work for him, and here's Adam Cole, similar size. Yeah. And again, nothing against Danielson, but Cole's even better on the mic.
Yeah.
More career. What's there to not get in this whole scenario?
I don't know. I don't understand.
We got to get the NXT
He's
out
not
of him.
6 feet. And that whole thing, like you just described, that should not have held him back at all. You just, you lost this guy that could have been your Mania headliner in a couple of years. Hell, he could have been a couple of years, next year's. You just lost that guy. Who, honestly, I know we're not on that, but after Roman Reigns, looking at this roster, who the hell is your Mania headliner?
Yeah, that can actually sell tickets.
To sell Cole was that guy, and now he's in the other company, and he made the right choice.
One of the more underrated stars in WWE history, Owen Hart. He, of course, had that nickname, King of Hearts, after he won the tournament that we talked about earlier in the podcast, the King of the Ring. Well, AEW is reportedly blocked from using the King of Hearts nickname for their upcoming tournament in memory of the late Owen Hart. Now, this comes after it had been announced earlier in the week.
We got to get a better lawyer, guys.
Yeah,
got to look into this shit.
In case if you are not aware, earlier this week it was announced that the company was partnering with the Owen Hart Foundation, which is ran by Owen's widow, Martha Hart, who played a predominant role of telling his story and being a part of Dark Side of the Ring when they talked about Owen Hart a couple of years ago. She runs that, and they have, as of right now, a new working relationship. That's going to include the annual Owen Hart Cup tournament. The winner of that tournament is also going to receive a cup known as the Owen to hold on to. In an update, the Wrestling Observer newsletter is reporting that AEW wanted to name the cup the King of Hearts, but they've been blocked from using that name. Now, there's no word on who's preventing AEW from using that name right now.
Know.
Well, here's the thing.
Okay.
WWE does not currently have a trademark for that name.
Well, does Brett?
Well,
because remember, there was that fallout, too.
Now, while they do not, WWE does not have a trademark for the name AEW, they filed to trademark King of Hearts way back in July 28th. So this was a talking and negotiation between the company, Tony Khan and Martha Hart, that's been going on for a while. Now, there is a King of Hearts clothing company founded by, well, Clarissa explains it all. Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Oh, really? Okay.
Witch. Melissa Joan Hart has a clothing company called King of Hearts that she runs with her husband, and they make a lot of casual clothing for boys, and that's been around since 2015. As of right now, there's an official Owen King of Hearts t-shirt that's being sold on Owen's official Pro Wrestling Tees store. And also in regards to the new working relationship between AEW and the Owen Hart Foundation, the Observer is reporting that the deal, it was about 2 years in the making, actually, and it's largely stemming from Martha and Chris Jericho working together for Dark Side of the Ring, that episode on Owen, and the deal is going to be over seeing AEW produce and distribute unique and original Owen merchandise, which is going to include Owen being featured in the upcoming AEW console video game. So he'll be on that. The merchandise is going to be released. Some of the merchandise, action figures, apparel, posters, and collectible items. So this is going to be a big deal. This is the deal that WWE has probably kind of always wanted with Martha, but they fucked that up when they made her look bad in court and tried to do everything to not assume responsibility for the unfortunate tragic accident in Kansas City at the Kemper.
Yeah, I mean, it's their own fault.
And I don't know if we ever talked about this before, but for the fans who have name-called Martha and have, just kind of had their feelings in their hands and stupidly wearing them on their sleeve.
Well, it's the whole Hall of Fame thing, right? I mean, that's what it stems from.
And no one knew him, it seems, as better as she did, and she felt that he was done wrong by the company after so many years of being loyal.
Leading up to the event, that's basically, he was getting sick and tired of hitting the road because the creative was just shit.
I feel she can do whatever the fuck she wants to do. She doesn't owe WWE shit.
No.
And she's made it very well known. Now, I think the sad thing out of this situation is that she is not, based on the Dark Side of the Ring episode, she and the Hart family, even the Hart family, they're not on good terms because apparently there's some sideways stuff between her and Brett that never got worked out.
You heard it was from the comeback, right? When he...
Correct.
Okay.
But, it is nice, regardless of who does it, it is nice to see Owen get recognized. It's been a long time and always underrated. One of the best that you could say, one of the best ever that never won a world title. But again, this was at a time where the world title wasn't meant for everyone. And whatever they did give to Owen, he made it work.
Yep.
And he was always entertaining. And I've always said one of my favorite Mania matches that I don't think gets talked about enough is the night where his big brother Brett put him over in Mania on the first match.
Yep.
And they had a great fucking match. It was a great match. So there you go.
How about the Nugget Cup?
The Nugget
Cup. See if that's out there.
Yeah. AEW is going to be holding a UK stadium show in 2022, PJ. If you care about this, All Elite Wrestling, they're going to be heading to the United Kingdom.
Is it a soccer place? It's got to be, right?
We are going to dig into it. Yeah, the promotion, if you remember, they originally planned the whole Fighter Fest 2020 in London, but those plans got ultimately scrapped because of the COVID pandemic, according to Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer newsletter. AEW is planning to hold a stadium show at Fulham Football Club's Craven Cottage in 2022, where Tony Khan is currently right now the vice chairman and director of football operations of Fulham FC.
Ooh, I don't know if I like the attendance figures for this. If they bitch and moan
maybe
as much about
the
soccer,
hijack the show.
If they're all so pissed still about the soccer team being relegated, not in the Premier League anymore, this will be interesting.
Dynamite set a January date officially for the TBS move. But in a swerve, a change of events, Rampage is scheduled to remain on TNT. If you remember the original report, both shows were going to be going to TBS starting in January. Rampage is going to be on TNT to stay. So the official date for Dynamite to move from TNT to TBS, that's going to be January 5th of the new year for 2022. Okay. As I just mentioned, Rampage, that's going to remain on TNT instead of moving to TBS as originally planned.
Well, they're still going to get preempted. I mean, NBA All-Star Weekend, they usually do stuff Friday night. They ain't going to be on that time slot then. So we
might still be seeing some Rampages on TBS anyways due to that stuff. So they at least have flexibility when it comes to that with Rampage, where they also decided to make some changes to the commentary team. I've talked to you about this. I don't know why we need a 4-person commentary booth in the first place, but it's now going to be a rotating one, and I say a rotating one because earlier this week during a podcast interview, Absolute Ricky Starks, he said that he was going to be the permanent replacement for Mark Henry that was said to have been bounced from the Rampage commentary team. However, this appears to not be the case, as AEW has decided they're just going to be using a rotation of commentators instead. It's unknown as of right now how the rotation is going to work and who's going to be involved, but right now the current team, that's Excalibur, Taz, and Jericho. No reason was really given for the change. Starks, he said on last week's show that they taped after Dynamite in Newark, New Jersey, and as we saw on Rampage early tonight, Arthur Ashe Stadium, he was also on the commentary team for that as well. It's presumed that Mark Henry is going to be moving to the backstage interviewer position, something that he's been doing ever since Rampage started anyways, and I'm sorry, even though they're awkward as fuck, I love the Mark Henry in between the split screen between the main event competitors.
And let's get ready for the main event. And he's got his big smile on the end of the interview. It. So that works. The 4-team does not work. It's just too damn busy.
It's too much. And we're radio guys. You've been, even though we all get paid to run our mouths and we have no problem running our mouths, we've been in situations where there's too many in the studio at the same time. You've got your vets.
Yes.
You've got your up-and-comers. You've got your middle tier. And it's like, all right, who's going to take the lead on this? Because everyone's so used to being the lead. So it's kind of, you get those awkward moments where it's like, okay, is it my turn? Do I throw my 2 cents in? Do we let the vet kind of get their shit in like Brian Cage and get themselves over? We just lay back, or does it just quiet and I just got to break through just because you just...
Is this just a way to get your good talkers on the air? Obviously, because Starks
I don't need Jericho yelling at me every Friday.
I don't need Jericho on that team at all. Starks, I could see, obviously, there must be still something up with the injury with the neck. So, obviously, you want him on the show. He's a good talker, bright future ahead of him. But, yeah, it's just way too, you can keep Excalibur on the head. Taz, always great. Him in the stable, when he's got to interfere in matches, though, while calling them, that's just odd. It's just strange. All of a sudden, he's calling color, and then he's got to run down to the ring and do a run, and then it's just like, no. So it'll be awkward when there's Team Taz segments on that show because half of them are going to be at the announce booth. So you're going to know there's going to be a table fucking spot there or something.
That probably will not break.
Yes.
AEW Grand Slam, we got 2 nights of this. We got night 1 at Arthur Ashe Stadium in New York for Dynamite, and this was an episode, man, the crowd, they came out, and We'll jump on this real quick and just get it out of the way. We've been talking about this for several months now. If they were going to be at Arthur Ashe Stadium, they did a great job selling tickets. Even though this is the biggest in terms of attendance so far for AEW. Yeah. Not big, huge stadium, but still outdoor.
Yeah.
Good weather.
Well, I think they had the cap on top of the roof. I think
you are correct.
Because when I looked up, I'm like, they don't have that baby open tonight.
Our only complaint, even though the crowd was electric, it still felt like a Daily Place show, though.
Yes, it did.
Like they just opened up more seats at Daily Place. Yeah. And you brought it up that for both nights, they really didn't do enough to really capture that they were in New York.
No.
They brought out a few, New York natives here and there. They got nice pops, and we'll talk more about that for Rampage because it was a little bit more New York influence in terms of the competitors on the card.
Yeah.
But, WWE, they have always been top-notch and top of the game in terms of their production value and showing you and wherever they are.
Yeah.
They make you feel that they are really where they say they are. AEW, you're at Arthur Ashe Stadium. Everyone knew you were, but there was really no promos. There were no segments. There was
no outside shots. That's the problem I had. Make this thing look big. Make this look. This is 20,000 plus you're getting in here.
We made a big deal about how many tickets we sold in a limited amount of time.
Show. Remember, go back to the Punk episode of Rampage. They did that outside shot right away of the United Center, which was fantastic. I loved that. They didn't do that for this at all. Now, I remember they did one New York skyline shot. It was like buried in the middle of Rampage where you saw the Empire State Building. But it should have been in and out. And I know they love doing the matches and they don't like some of the other stuff, but you got to have more of that. We needed an overhead of Arthur Ashe Stadium. We really did. Flushy Meadows with the fountain they have outside, and just show off. That's where you are. Show the New York scenes off. This is big time. Show all that. Hell, just show the Garden for shits and giggles, and just say we're in New York. I mean, just thumb it at them and do stuff like that.
Right.
But I think that was a big key missing, and it just looked like a regular show, which I think they missed an opportunity to make it really look special. Not, the matches were great, but just to put it over the top.
Yeah. This was overall, I thought, a pretty good show. Night one for Dynamite Grand Slam. Record crowd of over 18,000. Jim Ross took to Twitter to announce that the exact attendance was about a little over 20,000.
Yeah, because they opened up a little bit more seating after they got everything rolled in there.
Night one, this was based around I don't want to call it a dream match. I think we use that term a little too loosely these days, but it was based around your match of the champ, Kenny Omega versus Daniel Bryan, and they wasted no time. They put that match on first to hook you immediately for Dynamite, to make you feel that this was a big deal.
And I guess, too, for the crowd, to get them right into it, because, again, they had at least 5 hours of taping for this damn crowd.
Yeah.
You may as well start off hot and, hook the national audience as well on this show.
I did not officially get a final rating for this. But
10 stars.
Yeah, I'm going now. The previous week, they ended up doing about 1.1.
Yeah.
That was the first time in history AEW beat Raw in the 18-49 demo in back-to-back weeks. I'm sure they drew a little about the same amount, but their key competition that night ended up being Big Brother on CBS. The most viewed match, AEW Dynamite, the YouTube viewership from the previous week. Going through these, I won't even get into it. Never mind. I'll bypass that. But we get into this match, and they put that WWE, that Vince-nism in the beginning of the match, where they just kind of did the stare down, and they allowed the crowd to kind of take over and just kind of make you feel how big this match was.
Yeah, they did a good job at that.
And I had no problem with that. A lot of chops in this match, I thought, coming off the Ric Flair stuff, and the crowd is going to woo regardless. So there's a lot of chops in this match in spite of all the Ric Flair backlash. Danielson, he integrated his chops with his yes kicks, and so Omega's V-trigger hit one of those after running down the ramp. that was a pretty good thing, a beauty. A lot of people thought. Fans seem a little caught off guard though by the draw, as Justin Roberts' 1-minute warning was very hard to hear in the building. Now, I said that they had made it known at the beginning this was going to be a 30-minute time limit.
Yes.
And
which you said is the key, that this is going 30 minutes.
So people had some trouble hearing the whole 1-minute warning. So overall, excellent match.
Well, that's production too. Put 60 seconds up on all your boards and do a countdown. I know it failed you in the bomb match, but it would have worked here.
Yeah, fans ended up booing the finish of this match, but I would imagine that's by design.
Yes,
you couldn't have Bryan Danielson losing that match.
No,
Omega's not losing the title.
No,
so it's not over.
No,
you'll get another one. You get another one.
Yeah,
maybe an Iron Man match. We'll probably get a 60-minute.
My guess is that'll be your Rampage coming up.
CM Punk, he ended up appearing next on the show. Fans start singing along to Cult of Personality, which kind of pissed me off. I think it's well, here's the thing. Number one, I think in Living Color is one of the most underrated bands in recent rock history of the last 30 years. I don't think people understand just how fucking good these guys are unless you grew up listening really to their stuff. Cult of Personality is just one of those songs that it's on your playlist and you sing along to it, but when you're by yourself, I don't want to hear 20,000 people every fucking week. They've already ruined Judas for me.
Yes. Yeah.
So now we're going to ruin another fucking song. So that's where we are as far as Cult of Personality for me. CM Punk, he came down, asked the fans, how do you follow that? As they ignore that and start chanting his name in response to those complaints about the whole happy to be here thing, CM Punk essentially foreshadowed a heel turn down the line.
Yes, he did.
But for now, I guess people kind of need to enjoy this honeymoon while it lasts.
It's going to happen. I mean, that's when he did his best work in New York anyway, when he was a heel. That's when we loved him. So it's going to happen, folks.
We got our match of MJF versus Brian Pillman Jr. MJF, as he should have, ended up defeating Brian Pillman Jr., who came out with Julia Hart.
Go
ahead.
I didn't need Julia Hart on ringside. This could have just been MJF and Pillman. And I know he had Wardlow too with the MJF package, but I think it just needed those two guys, focus on it. And in the match itself, I just wish Pillman, they would have gave him a little bit more offense in this match.
It's usually always about Pillman coming out in the Bengal colors. Obviously, grew up around Cincinnati. His father was a Mr. Cincinnati long before John Moxley. Brian Pillman, that was his town. But it was all about people that complimented, not in a pervy way, surprisingly. You never know with this AEW crowd, but Julia Hart came out in a uniform. She's a Milwaukee girl. She's a Wisconsin girl. So she came out in a uniform that had colors of the Packers.
The green and gold on it,
Yes. So MJF, overall, man, I thought he was just straight up old school heel in this match, and he outsmarted Pillman as he should have, and he got the victory.
Yep. I guess I was kind of surprised this match went on this early because it was a good build.
It put him in a bad spot initially because they had to follow Omega and Danielson.
Yeah, I thought they could have waited maybe to hour two to put this one on, but I guess that wasn't to be for this night.
The American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes.
They should have put this damn thing on after it. Now that I think about it, this should have followed. This should have followed Danielson and Omega.
Rhodes came out with the coach Arn Anderson, and I think I might have said this to you or many others before. I said, Brandy's had the baby, but she ain't missing that Arthur Ashe show. I knew she'd be back from New York, and she damn sure was. Looking fine, looking like a hot mama.
Yep.
But it's just for me with Cody, why do we need so many people involved in his matches?
We got to promote that reality show.
We had Rosario Dawson jumping on Malachi Black's back the previous week.
Did you check out?
I have not watched any of this.
No, it's not out yet.
Sorry for jumping the gun.
No. During SmackDown tonight, they snuck it in.
For the reality show or for the game show, for Big Show?
No, TNT bought a 30-second ad to promote Rhodes to the top.
Oh, I love it.
On SmackDown.
Oh, I thought I did watch that.
Yes.
That wasn't during Rampage. That was during SmackDown.
No, that was during SmackDown.
Oh, I'm confused. I thought I was watching Rampage.
That was smart marketing.
Good job by TNT.
They slipped that baby in there during SmackDown on Fox, so good job on them. But yeah, this package again, Arn Anderson with the Perkins menu, trying to look like Andy Reid or any NFL coach with the sweater vest. Like you said, Brandy was not missing this shit at all. We got to promote that show.
Yeah.
But we've got a problem with Cody. We've got a problem.
Yeah, I said to you Wednesday night as we're watching Dynamite, I said eventually we got to get to a point where, look, the crowd legitimately, for a while there, that was their top baby face.
Yes. Yeah.
And people like Rhodes, and whether that's out of respect to his father or whatever, people like Cody. I think a lot of it, he left on his own from WWE. He wasn't released.
Yeah.
He wasn't.
Yeah.
He decided to, and
do his own thing. Yeah.
And a lot of people don't get to do that when it comes to the big machine in New York. People enjoy him, but I think with some of the antics and being that, he came in apart with the elites, but he's kind of been doing his own thing. And some of the segments come across a little as
New York
self-deprecating. Yeah, and very New Yorkish and very like promos. He's doing his own thing, and I think the crowd have kind of gotten over it. And I think the crowd, to say it's go home heat.
It's some of the Brandy. They just, for whatever reason, that crowd doesn't like her.
Yeah, it's a little too. I think the crowd can sense that they're looking to go Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
Between the reality show and the constant comparisons of Triple H and Steph, and this is it's just, I think the fans just need a break. And the constant interfering in the matches and all that, maybe I'm getting a little long-winded and kind of over-explaining, but anyways, I've always said, eventually, I think you got to have a match with Cody, whether it be with Black or whether whoever, where you got to do the double turn. Because he still comes down as if he is a babyface, but the crowd, like we saw in this match, as he's coming down, the crowd made the decision immediately that he was going to be the fucking heel in this match.
Yeah. He had no chance.
So at some point, he's got to do a double turn with someone.
He's had the comments recently again. Yeah, I can't turn heel. I'm a baby face. Dad was a baby face. I just can't turn heel. Again, he made comments like that just a couple weeks ago. So
you're not your dad, Cody.
That's the problem. Is you're with this crowd, you're just gonna.
That honeymoon is over as far as being your father's kid.
And they put him in a box too with that dumb stipulation that he could never challenge the title again. So then you already snip him and say, well, he ain't ever going to be a champion. So I mean, that idiotic thing. If they don't New York us and they keep its word on it, then that's not going to be good either.
Yeah. We got Brandy. She injected herself in this match early on as she got into the ring, threw up some middle fingers to Malachi Black. The most memorable moment of this match that went viral immediately is Arn Anderson tumbling while walking on the apron. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think that was planned.
I don't know if it was or not. I think it was supposed to be, but not.
Well, if it was
because
a planned
couple
spot,
seconds
Arn
later,
did a hell of a job of selling.
Yeah, then they did the planned spot like 5 minutes later.
Well, the crowd had as I mentioned before.
And what the hell was he even doing up on the apron to begin? We haven't seen
He's a babyface coach.
Yes.
Why is he on the apron?
We've never seen Arn on the apron at all for any of Cody's matches.
And I'm going to be honest with you.
Now he goes,
if Arn ain't running in to do a spine buster, I don't need to see Arn in the ring.
Well, that's what I thought we were heading to, because why the hell is he doing this? Like I said, he's doing a Ditka now. He was more of a laid-back, Andy Reid coach, but now he's Ditka on the fucking apron, and he's going to start throwing shit soon.
The crowd had determined that Cody was going to be the heel in this match, and if you watch that match, he was actually kind of working as a heel throughout it for the most part. Malachi ended up winning, though, via the Black Mist.
Huge pop.
Yes, there was the Black Mist, or as Excalibur pronounced it, the corruption from within.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Now, that sounds like some straight Vince shit.
Yeah,
if Excalibur was a commentary, if he was a commentator for Vince, I feel like that's some shit that Vince would have had him
that
say.
line. We know he got the shit from underneath the ring because you could see the spot where his head was underneath the damn ring before he got back in. So, yeah, it was no corruption.
I would love it to come at the, and maybe because I always put the high expectations of the double turn, the greatest double turn in a match ever between Brett and Austin in the I Quit match at WrestleMania 13 in Chicago with Shamrock as the special guest ref. See how I just, like that, rattled off that memory.
Yep.
You can't do that from shit on Raw from 2 weeks ago.
No, you can't.
I mean, you can't. Anyways, as Cody worked as a heel, it felt like the beginning of the heel turn for Cody in this match. So, I don't know. Is he turning on Arn first here in the next couple of weeks? Does it start there and then kind of trickle forward, moving?
Well, that's the way this match laid out. So it has to, especially we bumped into Arn. So, yeah, there's got to be some Arn thing here that will be going on. So then I don't know if Arn is going to be branching out to do his own shit. Him and Tully team up. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, this is where the Rick thing gets, obviously, I don't think they're bringing him in right now, but there could have been the revamp to the Four Horsemen kind of deal with them, and I don't know.
Brought JJ in.
Yeah, so I don't know. It could have been part of the plans of the creative. I'm sure Khan was thinking of that, but now that shit's all on hold, and they don't know what to do, I don't think, right now.
Speaking of Tully, we ended up having his team of FTR. They came out. They were challenging Sting and Darby Allin. We got about the closest thing to Sting and Undertaker that we'd ever get in this match is Dax ended up doing the signature Undertaker cutthroat. That's about as close as you'll ever see Undertaker versus Sting. But just like the New Day and so many other wrestlers before them, FTR paid homage to the NWO logo with their ring gear. At one point, Dax, he hit a steel chair behind him as Sting was going for the Stinger Splash. Fans were pleading with him not to. I actually thought that corner spot with the chair, that was the best part of the match. I felt if not for Sting's, what is he now, 62?
Yes.
Not as athletic, not as quick as he used to be. I think the old Stinger, that would have been a great spot because it would have been boom, boom, boom. Came across a little slow and sloppy, but I liked the setup to it. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Sting and Darby ended up being your winners in this match. Overall, I thought the match was all right. It was
very
fun.
solid. You had great workers in there. And FTR, once again, they knew how to treat Sting. They worked great. The face paint gimmick thing, they were old school kind of thing. They were still working in there. Was the black and white NWO thing a rib for Sting because of the whole fucking WrestleMania bullshit when he was an honorary member of the fucking NWO, the black and white.
The
NWO,
shit we didn't ask for.
When DX came running down and all of a sudden Sting's in the NWO for that bullshit.
Again, he loses to Triple H by being hit in the head with the sledgehammer, and then he shakes his hand at the end of the match.
Good job, pal. That's how I think. Was this a rib just for them to wear those colors for that horse shit?
Main event of the night. I thought the ladies, and I told you, I said, if this is anything like the Ruby Soho Jamie Hayter match, this should not be on last. Is Britt and Ruby gonna be able to stand up for the occasion? This was your main event, the champ Britt Baker versus Ruby Soho. Fans were actually split in this match between who they want to root for.
Yeah, and that's the problem you're gonna have, and that's why I don't know why Soho was hot-shotted right away to the top. Because you're going to have this issue. You can't take that belt off of Britt Baker yet. So you kind of put Ruby now in this position where, what do you do with her? And this match showed that. They half and half. Yeah, you're supposed to cheer for her, but no, we still want Britt to have it.
Moving forward in the match with some action, Britt Baker, she ended up hitting an air raid crash on Ruby Soho from the second rope. Soho, she ended up landing a little awkward on her repaired shoulder that she had some surgery on. A little bit of a hitch here and there early on during the match, but once they got settled in, thought it was a pretty good match. It wasn't anything like what we had seen earlier in the show, but it didn't die out.
No,
it didn't die the crowd out like we saw on Rampage, which we'll get to in a little bit. But Britt Baker retaining as the AEW Women's Champion. Well, night number 2, Rampage at Arthur Ashe Stadium. This ended up being a 2-hour show. Rampage has always been a 1-hour show, but they want to juice up the card. And last
I don't think we needed that extra hour after watching this.
We really didn't. They would have been better off sticking to 1 hour. We'll tell you why in a little bit. Last week's broadcast of AEW Rampage, once again, another consecutive week drawing its lowest viewership to date, 642,000 viewers. But now, to be fair, this is around what we thought they were going to draw on a Friday night anyways, and this actually isn't too bad. However, it's a little sad to see the numbers continuously go down after you had CM Punk.
Well, they are, though. That's just the way we are. We got excited to see it, the big debut. Now it's here. Now I see
They've
them
lost almost half the audience. And that was an August 20th show, 1.129 million.
And I see Punk now on TV every damn time they're on TV, just like the Sting thing. It's not a special attraction anymore.
We're recording this for you September 25th, really early in the morning, actually, immediately after AEW Rampage. So we don't know the final numbers just yet in terms of viewership. What they did, key competition Friday night, just like every Friday. It's Shark Tank on ABC.
Yes.
So there you go.
Shark Tank and Blue Bloods, I think, is the other one they're going to go against.
Now, the thing about Rampage is when SmackDown is just going off, Rampage is getting started on TNT. You want to get that show off hot immediately. You want to hook people. It's a Friday night.
Well, it's a Star Wars weekend, too,
and
on
it's a Star Wars
TNT,
weekend because
so
they ran that immediately off Rampage.
So they may be doing good if they kept the Star Wars crowd of it. So
we kicked this card off with Powerhouse Hobbs and CM Punk. CM Punk said that he wanted to continue to work with young up-and-comers like a Powerhouse Hobbs. And I didn't think this match was too bad. Now this match went on. We had the commentary team of, again, Excalibur. We had
Taz and Starks there, which Starks again, like I said before, this it's kind of confusing because you hear these two guys that they're not showing, shouting at Punk and yelling at Punk, and you don't understand, well, why the hell are these two jackoffs saying this and the rest is not? So, I mean, it was kind of confusing.
I'm just going to mention this real quick before we get into the CM Punk Powerhouse Hobbs run through. The most viewed segment from last week's Rampage ended up being the main event, which was Miro when he defeated Fuego del Sol. That was about 418,000, close to 419,000 views. The least viewed segment. This is going to come in handy for later on during our Rampage review. Do you want to know what that was at 162,476 views, sir?
Something probably with the bunny?
The bunny and Anna Jay.
Oh, imagine that. Okay.
Well, curious what they would have gotten for him tonight in that second hour. They should have put him on in the first hour.
They should have.
CM Punk ended up, he got 2 quad tattoos since we last saw him, so he's added more to that. So, I don't know, maybe one of them's Princess Layla.
I don't know.
AEW, they clearly expect Hook to be
something,
a part of the company for the foreseeable future. Whether his daddy influence has anything to do with it at all, they're been featuring him a little bit more.
Yeah.
So he came out. CM Punk ended up flipping him off. Fans promptly began chanting Hook's name. So CM Punk, he got no air on the flailing elbow drop that somehow managed to get worse than it was before he left. Punk, he ended up bleeding towards the end of the match.
Yeah.
And then there was a top rope Herc and Rana that was involved. That may have had something to do with it. So I don't know if that was a planned busted open spot or if that
wasn't. It was inside the mouth. I don't think he popped the cap and did that. I think that was.
Yeah,
that was. I'm back in the ring and got a little clunky.
Yeah, it's going to happen, especially when you're working a bigger guy too.
Yeah, exactly. That's
you're working a bigger
guy.
Yep. And I did not mind the match. I thought the match was solid from when I was watching and trying to do my notes at the same time. I thought the match, it wasn't over the top. I thought though that you had to get Rampage kicked off with Punk and get that match. It's a fresh matchup. It's Punk facing someone that's bigger. People have had nothing but good things to say about Powerhouse Hobbs.
Yeah.
And even though we haven't really seen Hobbs get that signature win just yet, they've at least, if he's going to lose, he's lost to people that he
bigger names
should be losing
now.
To. Bigger names for now.
Yeah, for
now.
now.
And so it's not really hurting Powerhouse Hobbs. And you got the other muscle out of the group in Cage, which I think they did miss the ball with not making them tag champs at some point.
Yes.
But if you weren't going to do that, then Cage leaves. Now Hobbs is the power. He's the muscle of the group.
Yeah.
And we know eventually it's going to be him and Starks in a match as they get ready to turn on Hobbs as well, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Starks is there to stay.
Yeah.
CM Punk with victorious over Powerhouse Hobbs. And what this match kind of told me is that before he gets to the final boss, which is Absolute Ricky Starks, we'll probably be getting a Punk hook match.
We don't need that.
I'm just saying.
I know you're saying, but to go through the whole factory of Taz here.
How many times do we need to continue to see Team Taz lose?
They lose.
I actually enjoy Team Taz.
Yeah.
Compared to the other factions that they have in this company, I actually enjoy Team Taz because Taz, to me, I've always liked Taz, and Taz is good in the mic.
Well, they look like monsters. They look like legit. You have Starks,
look like
a great
dudes
worker.
that would actually kick it with Taz.
Exactly. I mean, and you got the Dark Order that they put over more, and the Young Bucks, the Elite crap. It's just, this faction should be getting a little more love, and they're not. I thought Punk maybe helped elevate that, but now he's going to bury them all. So, they go nowhere from here.
We got our match, six-man tag match of Christian the Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus versus Adam Cole and the Young Bucks. Now, in the moment, I had to process it, and then I just had to accept it. And I said, you know what? This was actually a cool spot. It's Friday night. I'm loose.
Okay.
I just got done having my dinner. I was feeling good. Tummy was feeling right. I said, you know what? I'm going to get on the dumb shit tonight. I got no problem with it. So the triple team move, did you see this move of the Young Bucks? Now, Cole has got Jungle Boy in a camel clutch, and the Bucks kiss him on the cheek.
Oh, God.
They do the backflip, and they double super kick Jungle Boy in the face as Cole has a camel clutch. I said, you know what? It's Friday night. I'm going to get with the dumb shit. Why not? I thought it was a good spot because I was in a good mood.
No, it's not.
I knew of some fuckery that you wouldn't appreciate. But.
It's not. It's just not. And this was my fear with Cole. He doesn't.
He's going to get with the dumb shit.
He's going to get with the dumb shit. He doesn't need it. He's so good on his own. He doesn't need these guys.
He got sprayed down by Brandon Cutler, too, during this match.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Christian Cage, he got tossed off the ramp. Don Callis hilariously remarked that the train to Stamford leaves in 20 minutes. Don't miss it.
Okay.
Jungle Boy and Adam Cole, they each started throwing down after the match, which that was for something to come. They've already announced the next week there's going to be a match of Cole and Jungle Boy.
And we had the Good Brothers goofing around in this match as well.
I don't need to see them.
I know. But they were on the outside doing God knows what and trying to interfere in this match as it's already a fucking 3-on-3 matchup. So, I mean, I don't know why they're there.
Yeah. Dan Lambert has scored it the Men of the Year, Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky down to the ring as they were going to be in their match against the Inner Circle team of Jake Hager and Chris Jericho. The Men of the Year got probably the saddest looking pyro of the entire show.
Well, they got it from the ring exploding guy, probably.
They didn't need pyro.
No, they don't.
But I guess if they're going to be with Dan Lambert and you're going to call them Men of the Year, then I guess you need to make them look special, I guess. But anyways.
Unless that was the rib with Lambert always bitching about AEW and all that, then that's what happened. I don't know.
This was a match that, it didn't really do anything for me. It's the progressive storyline between Lambert's faction, the Inner Circle, mainly with Jericho more than anything. Lambert's playing that coordinate role.
Yeah. Well, as we see Jericho booking from AEW, the leadoff match you would think is the blow-off match, but no, it leads to a series of about 6 more damn matches. So we're just getting started on this, baby. This is going to take us through the end of the year.
Fast forwarding to the end of this, we had American Top Team. They interfered in this match, and they beat down both Jericho and Hager.
Well, they interfered after.
Well, yes.
After the 1, 2, 3.
Right.
Which made no sense.
Notice I fast forward through the actual action.
Yes.
This match really did nothing for me. This is all about getting American Top Team over. Paige Van Zant looked way too happy to be in AEW, blowing the kisses.
They actually mentioned these names now finally on commentary. They haven't in the weeks before.
You got Jericho taking gut punches from the gal, and very weak-ass looking punches. And
now, Masvidal got a huge pop from the crowd.
He did.
Now, he's the guy.
He's legit.
He's legit, and I'm guessing Jericho does want to do shit with him because that will keep Jericho's name in the relevancy thing. And, he threw the knee at the end there. So, he looks good. If there's one guy that I would tell them, hey, maybe make a run at this guy and sign him, it's obviously him. If he's done with UFC, which I think he is. I thought he was retired, but they always retire and come back. But that might be the guy you want to get in here.
After our tag match, we got a 8-man tag match of Team Hardy.
Oh, God. That's
Matt Hardy's two tag teams.
Now, we went from that match, and now you could have turned off the rest of the show.
His crew, they are losers collectively. Yes. I told you, the two things that I like the most about Team Hardy is the majority of his crew. I like Private Party as a tag team. Mm-hmm. I like the Blade and the Butcher. I like their look. I think they come across like grown-ass men who are professional wrestlers who could kick some ass.
Yeah.
Collectively, they all look like fucking losers. They don't win.
No.
Hardy cuts promos. He comes across like give me a villain from one of the shows that we grew up watching as kids. The villains who could never get over on the baby face. There's many of them, but
there's many of them.
Crane?
Crane. I was going to say Claw.
With the Ninja Turtles?
Claw from Inspector Gadget comes to mind because he's always flying away and you never see him and just shit like that.
Or maybe old school Transformers for the kids today who think Megatron is this big badass. In the cartoons back in the day, he got his ass whooped in every single episode.
Every time. Him and the Decepticons.
Decepticons retreat.
Yep, retreat. They'd tuck tail just about every single freaking week. You're like, what the hell are they? There was no match at all.
For all you little ones, Megatron, the original cartoons, they made him out to be a little bitch.
Yeah, they did. Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe, too. You thought this guy was a tough badass. Yeah. All of a sudden, we're at the 20-minute mark of the cartoon, boy. No, he tails and runs it.
He tails and runs it. Anyways, we got Private Party and the Butcher the Blade versus Lucha Brothers and Santana and Ortiz. All I'll just say is early on in the match, all four members of Lucha Brothers, Santana and Ortiz, they hit some simultaneous dives on the outside. They end up picking up the victory as predicted, and this is a match, honestly, both teams got some great reactions from the crowd, and whenever they decide to do that match between Lucha Brothers and Santana and Ortiz, fans will be ready for it because it's...
I thought maybe they get a jump on it at the end because they all did the arms
They're
up
cool
in the
for
air.
now.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be maybe a little punch or something from Santana and
Ortiz. And Santana and Ortiz, of course, they're from New York. They were going to get one of the bigger pops of the night. Mm-hmm. Miro. I thought this was actually a good segment. I didn't mind it. You had Fuego del Sol and Sammy Guevara coming out on the ramp holding up their signs. There's Miro behind him. He kicks both their ass. And the best part, who put this over the most was Ricky Starks, actually, who was jumping up and cheering and laughing about it.
And then he's pushing them away as they're getting closer to the table.
This was good stuff. Yep. Both Ricky and Taz, they're celebrating it. They really put this thing over. And Fuego del Sol, now we know why he's been hired full-time by AEW. That was to get his ass kicked and take bumps for Miro. He's the bump man.
No, he's the Adam Cole manager position here. That's his job. Where Keith Lee is Sammy Guevara. Fuego, I can't even say the goddamn name.
Fuego del Sol.
Fuego del Sol, getting it all mixed up. He's the Adam Cole.
After this segment, the show, in terms of the crowd interaction, it died.
Big time.
We decided to put the match of Anna Jay versus Penelope Ford on. Now, remember what did I say they did last week between the Bunny and Anna Jay? About 163,000?
163,000.
Yeah, I can't wait to see those numbers for Monday. This match was fucking awful. It was short. Mm-hmm. The crowd was disappointed.
Yeah.
There were boos. They
didn't want this.
Brass knuckles played a role once again. I was actually surprised at Anna Jay even winning this damn match.
Well, because you had Matt Hardy's crew out again. I mean, that was the problem. It was like almost back-to-back matches.
Yeah. Big story coming out of this. And this was another sad part, was that I don't know if this was planned originally or if this was a last-minute call, but you forgot that the ladies were even out there, because we ended up getting like 20 fucking people out there between Team Hardy, Orange Cassidy, the Dark Order, and it's just shit everywhere. And then we continue to play out this whole thing. The Dark Order is split right now. The crowd didn't give a shit for any of this.
Not even Cassidy digging big pop, which I was shocked. I'm like, with this crowd, remember, they were eating this guy up, and now we have nothing for him, really, in this shit.
I don't know what the plan is for the Dark Order, but the rumors are they're going to be in Rochester. And right now it's a ping-pong negotiation, allegedly, between Impact and AEW involving Bray Wyatt. Whether he comes and plays a role in that to make the Dark Order be taken seriously again.
Yeah.
If you're going to keep the Dark Order around, whether they're split or together, we got to, now I'm over the silly babyface part.
Yeah.
And that they got over that way based on the unfortunate incident of Brody. But now, if we're going to have the Dark Order together as a unit, I don't want to see the comedy shit anymore.
No.
Give me one or two people out of that crew that can be legit competitors.
Mm-hmm.
John Silver, he's small in terms of height, but he's built like a brick shithouse.
Yeah,
he's one guy that I think that you could do some good business with if you did it right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe Bray just says, I'm coming in and I'm taking all the fucking pie. I don't know, but that's kind of where we are. After that match, we end up going into our main event, the side-by-side with Mark Henry in the middle. One side, we've got Minoru Suzuki and the Murder Hawk monster, Lance Archer. Where's Jake, by the way? Where's Jake? Did Jake just get a new deal?
They just signed him to a new deal.
Jake's got a sweet fucking deal.
I don't know what's
going on. He gets to sit at
there.
home in DDP's basement and collect Tony Khan's paychecks. I love this.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is, because I don't know if they do. Obviously, we'd think they would have something for him because he's supposed to be a part of the package, but he has not been there lately.
Now, the other side, you had Moxley and Kingston, and I said the Mark Henry backstage, these split screen segments, they're awkward, but Henry being a part of it, it's one of my favorite parts of Rampage. And I'll say the interaction on this one before the main event, probably the best one on Rampage so far, because I actually liked the interaction between Kingston and Archer. Archer held his own. Archer was showing some personality, and Moxley threw his 2 cents in there as well.
Well, Kingston was fighting his goddamn tank top. Didn't you hear that? Get this thing off me. And he's trying to rip it off. I mean, the whole damn thing was
looked like Luger with the small
D. Yes, it was just like he couldn't get the damn thing.
Super Bowl Sunday T-shirts with
yelling,
Luger.
Get this off me. And then Mox is like, I don't know. It's just like, and then Mark with the big old smile. It's time for the main event. It's like, okay.
Yeah, they cut down Suzuki's music again. I'm kind of glad. It took forever. Yeah. And anyways, this match, I will say this. They had about 15 minutes left to work with. They wanted to get into the match right away. However, I think the mistake and where they burned the crowd out was they immediately start going for the hardcore shit. This was advertised as a lights-out match. But, Suzuki, I think, number one, regardless of how people that really follow Japanese wrestling, how they look at Minoru Suzuki, I look at it, I can't see it credible that this is Jon Moxley, a former WWE champ, a former founding father member of the Shield, badass Jon Moxley.
Yeah.
Why is these old fucking Japanese guys hanging
him out
with Jon Moxley?
There's about a 25-year age gap, and this guy is...
And he's moving slow.
He's moving slow, and these guys are taking it. They're just sitting there and taking it. That's the problem. I had Kingston, too.
And it makes it look awkward.
He had to sit there and take the shots from Suzuki. He was waiting for it. It's just, I understand we want to get, indie darlings over and get them all.
And it was
happy,
silly as
but
hell
it
early.
looked
Did you
strange.
see they Suzuki grabs 2 chairs?
Oh yes, the Zorro
goes to the,
shit on
to
the
the
stage.
top of the stage
Yes.
and challenges Moxley to pick up a chair and have a chair joust off.
Yes.
Which was the silliest shit of the match.
And somehow Ambrose
And there was
lost
a lot
that.
of silly shit in this
Yeah.
match.
But you know what? I was surprised. I don't think anyone was bleeding on this. And for a Lights Out match, you remember the Britt Baker one with Del Rosa, a couple weeks, that Lights Out match, we remember that one all the time. Now, with the blood and everything else, this one was damn mild compared to that.
Lance Archer, we fast forward to in the action. Archer ended up taking a break to attack a group of AEW young boys before chokeslamming Moxley and all of them. We end up getting a run-in this match on the behalf of not the heels, the perceived heels of the match, but the baby faces. We got Homicide.
I thought it was Nick Cage. I thought
You thought it was Nick Gage?
I thought it was Nick Cage right away with the whole bandana thing. I'm like, oh, he's wearing it this time.
And even with Homicide running into, he ran through the crowd. They have the Homicide graphic on the ramp. But he came through via the crowd.
Knew who the hell he was.
And the crowd was still not, I think the crowd was ready to go home. You got to remember, they filmed this after Dynamite Wednesday.
Yeah.
So
And
the crowd
I wonder
was
what
dead.
the match sequence was, too, because I think they had to shuffle this around a little bit for TV.
You had to. If it was
I would think you had to. So I just wondered with that live crowd where the hell that match really was, if that was the last match of the night.
Yeah.
Especially if they had to sit through that Hardy shit.
Yeah, we got Homicide running in. The crowd still wasn't feeling it. And then I think, and then eventually after about a few minutes, they finally just decided for shits and giggles to chant Homicide. Then we had Eddie Kingston with Lance Archer's head in a trash can decide to continuously beat over a trash can
and the
before
camera
finally picking up the 1, 2, 3.
The angle was shitty on this.
Because we're seeing Archer with his hands over his head the entire time.
And he was not even anywhere near hitting him with the garbage can.
All right, there you go. Moxley and Kingston win versus Suzuki and Archer. Now we're finally done with this episode of 21.
Yes, we are. We made it.
We gave you. Oh, did we give you the Extreme Rules predictions?
Oh, you ready for this?
We'll just review the show next week.
Yeah, that sounds good because I think it's gonna be a predictable show. Reigns, Lynch, Usos, I'm guessing, if they win.
What about that slobber knocker we're going to get between Carmella and Liv Morgan?
Carmella. There you go. That's that show.
All right. Bush League Mud Show, Slade.
PJ.
Make sure to like and subscribe wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Also, check us out on social media at Bush League MS Pod. We'll holler at you next week.